Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
My name is Abdul Montakim. I'm editor of robotics and automationnews.com. I'm here today with Humera Malik, CEO of Canvas Analytics, which is a data company which has helped a number of different companies to streamline their operations, most notably one of the largest agricultural produce suppliers in the world. I'll hand over to Humera and she can explain to you more. Humera.
Thank you. Very excited to be here, to be able to share about Canvas Analytics. We are an advanced analytics company that has actually been all built using artificial intelligence technologies. And we are actually working in the industrial sector with large manufacturing and energy operations to help them actually prepare for the future, helping them future-proof their operations, as well as use data as their advantage, to build competitive advantage into their business, as well as actually first optimizing and then eventually automating their operations so they can create sustainable businesses that are actually prepared for the future. So what really Canvas is we are empowering the use of AI in the industrial market. And we talk about industrial market in sense of large industrial operations, an industry where in order for it to bring about any change, it actually has to go through a revolution. We're going through the fourth industrial revolution where digitization is a key priority, connectivity, connected devices, and connected environments that are creating smart factory floors is where this industry is going towards. But as we actually embarked on this journey, we realized that in terms of creating those smart digital environments, the ability for these industrial environments to change themselves still is with very limited, because the biggest challenge for them in order to leverage their digital environments to create smart operations is how do they leverage their data, and how do they actually try and optimize these complex processes. So one thing that we see, the challenge that they have, this industry has, is they are dealing with very, very large volumes of data. They have probably one of the most complex processes. You go in any production environments, you go in car manufacturing, you go in auto parts manufacturing, you go in a process of where they're actually going through steel production or energy generation or oil and gas production cycles. You're talking about very, very complex production cycles. They're dealing with environments which are constantly evolving and changing. And the speed of that change is so fast that sometimes it's hard to actually keep up and try and work on things outside of what is happening today. So that's really these industrial environments, these industrial operations. The challenge lies is how do they actually go about handling this environment where there's large volume, high velocity, highly dynamic, complex processes. This is really where we see a fit for ourselves, and we have proven immediate success by being able to actually use the power of AI, the power of artificial intelligence to actually optimize and automate environments which are highly complex. They generate large amounts of data. They are very, very dynamic, and the data comes at different frequencies, makes these environments a kind of a perfect fit for technologies like artificial intelligence, which are not just based about, what happened before, parts of AI where you apply machine learning, but also actually drives and learns from that environment, applies intelligence draw inferences, and eventually automate these operations. That's really where the true power of AI is. What we focus on is complex processes. How does AI does interpretation of those processes and applies itself? So we work with in a very data agnostic environment. We have created a platform that does not care about the source of the data. What it cares about is how to actually take that data and do analysis and provide interpretation by leveraging that in real time and being able to continuously learn from its environment and dynamically actually reconfigure itself and dynamically train itself so it can be applied on an ongoing basis. This is one of the cases where we have seen the true application of AI. We have actually proven the true application of AI because usually when people go in and they start looking at artificial intelligence, these are very project-based approaches. These are approaches where everybody goes in and tries and learn and configures and then goes through that cycle again. We have put it all in a platform approach because when we go into these complex environments are not isolated to one process or one plant. They actually are seeing these repeatedly across different processes. It could be in their production line, it could be in their paint line, it could be in other lines of businesses, but they're looking to create efficiencies throughout their production line and throughout their production processes. So this is really where the true application of AI is, because if you can do it in one place, then you start to replicate and apply it across multiple places. One of the biggest challenges why certain technologies become important is the simplification, the ease of use, and trying to actually stay ahead of the complexity of the environment and the process that you're dealing with. And this is really where we see that by using a more in-a-box approach of applying AI is the ability to actually leverage all of the data, the high volumes of data, and being able to get to a point of where you can plug in that data and start using the results in real time. We have shortened that cycle and reduced that cycle and packaged it in a manner where any industrial operator can take their data, plug it in, they can configure a scenario and start using the power of predictive analytics to predict what my output would be. What would be the yield that I'm going to have in this batch or in this cycle? What is the quality of this production cycle? And then how do I actually manage either the energy generation, energy utilization throughout that cycle? And how do I do it in real time? And then how am I enabled to be able to do it on an ongoing basis? This is where the automation and the continuous learning part helps these guys, because they do not have to continuously go in and train and retrain, but they can actually use the automation to their advantage by plugging in, configuring a case, and then putting it into operational models that are being updated by using the real-time data. So how do you apply it? In what cases we have actually seen success? We've actually seen that this AI, the use cases for AI in industrial environments are either around improving the quality and the yield, they're around optimizing the assets and improving the remaining useful life, or they're around predicting any failure that might happen during the production cycle and preventing that failure from happening by actually predicting that well in advance, so nobody actually has to shut down a line or actually shut down an asset and impact production in any way. We have actually, we work in a few different industries and seen the application of it in industries which are very highly complex, but also actually generate a lot of data and can eventually use this data to optimize and automate their processes. So we've applied this in food and ag, where we have actually helped them, energy, which is sometimes one of the largest costs or the second largest costs in these plants. We've helped our customers to improve the fuel efficiencies by optimizing their energy generation assets, such as cogeneration turbines, and reducing the amount of fuel consumption. and actually optimizing these assets so that they can increase the lifespan and reduce any failures or unpredicted failures from happening. In another case, we actually are working with some of the largest automotive manufacturers as well as part manufacturers, and we take the data from their robotic processes such as welding as well as paint and help them reduce any downtime as well as any failures. We actually help predict any failures in the robotic weld from before they happen, and then we also actually help the welding operators improve on the quality of the weld that they would be producing. This is a huge cost implication to the welders if they're producing bad quality, because then they have to keep on redoing, which is a higher level of cost, but also impacts the quality of the output that is going to go to their customers. And so in these cases, we have been able to become that quality assessment tool and provide that certificate of quality to say, this has actually gone through this process and it's been validated. We also work in large complex operations like steel production, where we have actually improved the quality of the steel that's being produced, as well as improved on the process that is carrying out the production process itself, so that you can have control over the yield as well as the quality of your output. And in certain cases, we actually work with large volume productions such as part manufacturers to help them improve on the parts quality by actually reducing any negligence associated with human error or other errors, and through that actually save hundreds and thousands of dollars on a daily basis on any scrap. So these are some of the actual applications. In summary, we actually are probably one of the only platforms that is out there actually being applied in real time, providing AI as a product, and actually working with our customers to scale it, because when we work with Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 customers, we are looking at a scale of actually applying it across thousands of processes and hundreds of plants and facilities. So this has been a true advantage for us, and we look forward to continuing on that path.
Thank you very much, Humera. That was an excellent and very fascinating, actually, presentation, partly because having done a few stories like this about AI in industry, I was under the impression that it was a difficult thing to do, to apply AI to large and complex operations, as you yourself acknowledged earlier in the presentation. Manufacturing processes, and a lot of companies, large companies, they tend to have very complex processes. You know, I don't want to get into how exactly you apply them, but it is quite a leading sort of company in that sense. It's one of the few that your canvas is one of the few that is offering this. Mostly companies, larger companies, are developing their own AI systems to try and do the same thing that you're doing, which is make their processes more efficient and productive. And it's not surprising that you've been so successful as well. You only started a couple of years ago, 2016, I believe. Is it true to say? Is it right to say that you know, it is because it's a very new area, and you seem to have started a march on others and developed a system, and that's the reason for your success? How are you finding, you know, the reception to your company and your offering from the markets that you go to?
I think there are two kinds of people. Probably could be three as well, but I think there are two. One are who are basically very forward thinkers, progressive, and they understand that they have to actually bring about some sort of a revolutionary approach in handling their data. And so we see those, and those have been the early adopters, and this is really where we have seen great success with them, and the cases that I was talking about. The other ones are kind of still in the we're not so clear, still determining mode. The first one that I talked about, there are also people that might not be immediately ready because they've just implemented technologies and digitization into their environments, and they're just getting ready, but they've realized, so they would go through some early stage learnings and then start to implement it at scale, and some were just ready to go at it. But in the second group, I would say is, when people ask me who's our biggest competition, I always say our biggest competition is not doing anything. And that's really the second group who yet does not realize what the impact of using their data can be, because data is the new oil or is the new source of power for them, but they haven't yet realized it. And they're yet not so sure. And I believe that the laggards really are still at that place where they don't realize it. So I don't think that we spend more time with the progressive folks, and it doesn't take long to recognize and realize who those are. And that's really where we see some of this immediate success. But it rubs on to others that actually then catch up as well. But I would love to see some change in this industry going through this revolution where, as they actually adopt, is how quickly they can move. It's all about speed and agility. If this industry doesn't move with the speed and agility, we know that the margins are getting razor thin. We know that how productions are being impacted. We know, look at oil and gas industry, especially on the oil side. So I think that's really where, if you don't start preparing now, you would start seeing the impacts of not being able to leverage, more of these advanced technologies, not just ours, but, I look at overall digitization as well, which enables you to use the power of data to your advantage. I think if you're not doing it now, then you'll be left behind.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I don't know, obviously, anywhere near as much about the industry or the technology as you do, but from an observer's point of view, it does seem like it's inevitable that this kind of artificial intelligence is going to become integral to any company that produces and collects large amounts of data. And that is almost becoming the norm now, where companies are collecting vast amounts of data. And they need to know how to analyze that and make decisions based on it. And what I found interesting, particularly interesting about your presentation, is that you explained how AI or the machine learning part of it, or some aspect of it, can observe and learn how to make a process not only more efficient, but how to automate it as well. So that I found interesting. So you're basically saying that an AI system can automate processes which previously were not automated. Maybe they were disjointed or in some way not flowing as an integrated process as much as they would be with AI. But how do you think things are going to progress? You seem to have grown quite quickly, but how do you think your company, as well as this kind of technology, will spread or become more widely adopted over the next year or two, or maybe more, maybe longer?
Well, the first thing is that we have, the proof is in the pudding, right? When we go tell people about this, the reason we have seen a higher level of adoption is because when we show it and when we actually plug in and show them the results, we do it in a matter of days and show them actual results that way. So the power of the platform that we show, it's not just to say, but it actually proves it to them. So we're able to take them through this sometimes live in less than 30 days. So when they actually see that, this actually just enables them to cross that big hurdle that they have is, seeing and trying is it believing. And then from there on, really, once they start to see the results in one process and in one place, then it spreads. Then that's really where, you're dealing with the energy group, then comes the manufacturing side. And then comes, the other side of the business. Sometimes, they would be the supply chain side that would come. Sometimes, it would be the operations team that would come. So this kind of it affects itself by this is a viral influence that it has. But I think it's really seeing and trying is believing. And whoever has gone on that journey, I've only seen them go beyond one process or one facility and kind of expand. But I think the credit also goes to the people that we work with. As I said, the group of people that we work with where we have seen great success are the people who are more progressive and actually are getting ready for the future because they believe this is the future. So I think that's why. And the other part really is this is an industry which is not necessarily, progressive in one part of the world. Like it's not just in North America. You see Europe, they've got clear mandates in terms of, going into 2020 and 2025 about Industry 4.0, how they're going to make progress towards automation, optimization, smart factories, and creating digital environments. So that also helps because if you can help them achieve those kind of objectives, then also that accelerates your path towards adoption as well. So it works in those manners as well, where they have clear mandates and they're actually trying and working towards that automation and digitization.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you what made you think of the idea for this business, because it's very new, and not many people would probably have gone into this had they not possibly had your background. Your background does include some interesting roles, but you want to tell me how you came to think about this idea and how you set it up?
So me and my co-founders actually have come from a background where we have been exposed to Internet of Things and industrial Internet of Things, where we've actually worked with instrumentation, which is putting sensors and collecting data and integrating into large data systems in these large complex industrial environments. And I think we went on a journey to see why is it that these environments are just getting connected and not going beyond to use all that data? And we initially went in looking at some sort of a data transformation to help them look through that data. Of course, we didn't know where we would end up, and where we ended up is actually then building an AI platform. So we surrounded ourselves with some folks that actually helped us understand the power of using technologies like artificial intelligence. One of my co-founders actually is a data scientist who comes from the energy background too. So using all of that, I think we ended up where we are, is creating an automated analytics platform that uses AI and provides the true agility and automation for this for these kind of complex industrial environments.
Okay, and finally, I know that you highlighted one of your customers. It's called Olam, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a very large agricultural produce manufacturer, one of the world's largest. And you can tell me a bit about that in a minute. But as far as I understand it, you made their processes more efficient, and it was a very interesting story. But can you tell us more about the customers you might have? I don't know if you can name them all, but certainly you've, as I say, you've highlighted Olam, so maybe you can talk about that.
Olam and other customers like that, either in the food and ag industry or in the steel industry or in the automotive side. So just, what we're doing in Olam is basically looking at their production processes and helping them improve the quality of their several outputs. They're a big food and ag company, so they obviously have lots of products that they produce, including they produce pasta, they produce cookies, they're producing spices, they're producing all kinds of edible assets as well, edible products as well. So we actually are helping them to optimize the quality of their production. So we're optimizing by integrating into their production lines, taking all of the data and helping them optimize those production lines. they are very progressive. So they are eventually looking to not just optimize it and see how they can actually improve on it and improve on the quality of their outputs as well, which helps to increase the shelf life, reduce the scrap. But eventually they are actually working with us to automate their production lines as well, so that any repeatability, any line of error or unreliability can be taken away as well. So they're very, very advanced, I would say, in their approach towards using data in their production lines.
Right, I know I said final question, but I just thought of another one. I hope you don't mind. Is there a pattern or a typical problem that you solve, or something that you improve or help with that seems common across the companies you deal with? Do you know what I'm trying to get at there? You know, like, is there something that, or maybe a more than one thing that is typical to lots of companies, that and a company like yours using AI identifies and can help with? Or is it different problems for different companies or different situations?
The one thing where we excel in is really predicting or forecasting the process, either the process output or the process quality. Assets fall within that. So we basically provide a 360 view of the future of how your process is running and what the quality of your yield would be. That's kind of really the overarching, I guess, the view or the strength. Alongside with that comes how my assets are performing within the process, how much energy I'm utilizing, and so all other things fall underneath that.
Right. Yeah, I just remembered you mentioned energy, which is that's definitely a common theme across all these large companies. How do they save energy? Yeah, I could have asked you about that, but you've already dealt with it.
I think the key differentiator, I think, from a tech perspective, besides, just using AI, what is the key differentiator? Because a lot of people talk about AI. And the way I would say, what that is really the power of automation that's been built into the platform. The power of automation to actually analyze the data and then continuously learning models that learn in an automated way from those environments. They're as dynamic as their environments, and there's no human intervention required.
Okay, Humera, thank you very much for your presentation and for talking to me. I wish you all the best.
Send us an email at sales@roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.